Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Nation's Pastime in the nation's capital. I am your host, Andrew Snaith, here with my co-hosts, Robbie Cruz and James Higgins. And guys, boy, do we have a close one going on right now in Atlanta. 13-1 the score as the Cardinals are absolutely shellacking the Braves in Game 5 of the NLDS. And it looks like the Braves are going to be eliminated within the hour here. How are we thinking about that series, guys?
I don't think anybody's really complaining, to be honest. The Braves are just an annoyingly stupid team. I can't stand them. I think that they're ridiculous. Ronald Acuna, he's incredibly cocky. I don't like his antics. I don't really like many of the players on the Braves just because of the way that they act. So quite frankly, I'm not complaining. Now, I'm not the biggest Yadier Molina fan either. Don't get me wrong. I can't stand the guy. I did not like how he criticized other players for doing bat flips after home runs. But then when he gets a walk-off single, he can just throw his bat in the outfield like it's nothing. Not a big fan of that whatsoever. However, I'm very happy that the Braves are getting eliminated tonight.
This was an all-time classic series before today. All four games decided by 3 runs or fewer before today. It was a phenomenal series going in. Really good baseball. Flaherty, Fulte before today. Fulte pitched a gem in Game 2. Michaelis, Miller, getting out of the bases loaded jam in the fourth. The pitching can go on and on about Soroka throwing a gem on Sunday. And then who started for Atlanta in Game 1? It was Keuchel. Yeah, Keuchel. It was really good pitching, real good hitting. Goldschmidt, Ozuna. I think Freeman's hurt because there's no way that he would just disappear like this in the biggest stage. Acuna, Albies both had good series.
He did pick up 2 hits today, though.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying in general. I think he was like 1 for 16 going into today or something. It was something ridiculous. Definitely not what we're used to seeing out of Freeman. But no, it was a great series, and the Cardinals just took advantage today, had an awesome 10-run first inning, and I think we're going to see these two teams back in the postseason the next few years. Both got a lot of bright futures ahead, and then for the Cardinals looking ahead to the NLCS, they got one of the best pitchers in the game right now in Flaherty. They got Michaelis going in their rotation. And they got Wainwright with a vintage performance on Sunday. He'll probably go in Game 1 on Friday night. It'll be fun. Whether they face the Dodgers or the Nationals, they're a good team.
Absolutely. I think it's absolutely fair to say that both of them will most likely be in the playoffs. We have not seen the last of the Braves even after tonight's embarrassing loss. But just to we'll get into more of that a little bit later, break down the series, and talk about the other exciting Game 5 tonight, along with the third Game 5 of the week going on tomorrow. But before we get into that, just want to thank everyone for tuning in again. As you know, we are live every 8 to 9 here on WCUA Radio. Our shows are posted the next day on our Twitter. That is at @NatPastimeCap. That is at @NatPastimeCap. Go ahead and follow that for show updates and other things regarding the shows and when we post the podcast versions of them. And if you want to call in and offer any thoughts on tonight's show or at any time, the number for that is 202-319-5106. That is 202-319-5106. And something I really want to touch on real quick is something James just mentioned about the Cardinals and Braves series. As it is coming to a close now, it seems as if, barring a 12-run comeback in the 9th inning, they will go ahead and move on to the NLCS. But what I wanted to mention was Adam Wainwright. How crazy is it that we are here in 2019 and we just saw Adam Wainwright throw an absolute gem to none other than Yadier Molina behind the plate, and it's 2019. I just think that's absolutely remarkable.
He was phenomenal. It was vintage Wainwright. And touching before we move on from Game 3, I think it was a mistake for the Braves to start Soroka in Game 3 because you knew he'd only be available once in the rotation.
Right.
I think they should. They clinched the division on September 20th, so they had time to line up their postseason rotation. So they could just map out when they wanted Soroka to pitch, and I think they should have had him available to pitch twice. But going back to Wainwright, he was phenomenal. You knew he wasn't going to overpower. You knew it was going to be location, and about execution, and about being. He's always on the same page with the Audis. So you knew those two were going to be on the same page, and he went out there and he pitched to perfection. He pitched a phenomenal game. Unfortunately, the Cardinals only gave him 1 run of support, and Carlos Martinez blew it in the 9th. But that did not cost him the series. But he was great, and if he pitches like this the rest of the postseason, the Cardinals are going to be in a very good position because they have Flaherty and they have him going. So it's going to be fun it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the postseason turns out. But I'm glad to see Wainwright having success in 2019.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very cool to just see that he's pretty much outlasted his team. I mean, we're talking about two players who were on the 2006 World Series champion Cardinals and, of course, also on the 2011 World Championship Cardinals. But remarkable that 13 years later we still see both of them, and both of them performing at a high level, and both of them contributing big time to this series, of course.
Yeah, Yachty's been huge.
Oh, he's been huge, of course. Tied the game and walked it off the other day.
Game 4, yeah.
Yeah, in Game 4.
And he calls a great game.
He really does. He's one of the best, and I know a couple Cardinals fans who are going to to be eagerly awaiting his trip to Cooperstown. Not sure if he is going to be a first ballot or not. I think that's up for debate a little bit, but I don't think it's a debate to say that we will probably be seeing Yadier Molina in the Hall of Fame one day.
Yeah, without question, he's won many Gold Gloves. He's won a couple of World Series with the Cardinals. He's just a lifetime Cardinal, and quite frankly, he's probably going to be there for the rest of his career. Yadier Molina has he's outperformed my expectations this past postseason. I expected him to, do okay, but I didn't expect him to call this great of games. He's been pretty great.
Yeah, he really has. Something you also did mention though about that Wainwright game was Carlos Martinez. After that, how worried are we if we would be Cardinals fans going into the NLCS with what seems to be a closer who is not exactly been great this past NLDS?
I feel like they have enough weapons in the bullpen where if Martinez does become a bigger issue and he doesn't continue to close out games, where they can just switch someone like Miller or Gallegos in there, or even Bariba, because their bullpen is a strength of their team.
Mm-hmm.
They have a good bullpen. So yes, it's concerning that Martinez hasn't gotten the job done, but I don't think it's a major concern in the sense that you can't find anyone to close out the game. There's someone back there who will get those last 3 outs.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a fair point. You have Gallegos, who's had a really good year this year, like you mentioned, Bariba and some of the other guys.
Miller just going off his past
Right,
postseason
yeah.
experience. Then he did a great job getting them out of the jam in Game 3 with the bases loaded in the top of the eighth. Excuse me.
He really did, yeah.
Yeah.
And Martinez also, had a very good season in the closer role. But even though he didn't blow it, Game 1, we saw those struggles again, where I believe it was something like it was 5-2 going into the 9th, and he gave up 2 runs before finally getting the out there. But I guess you're right. Not really that much of a concern because you have so many other pieces, but we know how important bullpen is, and especially if you're going to be facing a team like the Nationals, if they do end up winning tonight in Game 5, has that very, very deep starting pitching. It becomes potentially an issue, because if they can outlast you with the starting pitching, you got to go into that bullpen more. You got to have a very solid bullpen to hang with them when you're facing Strasburg, Scherzer, and Corbin 1, 2, 3 there.
And that the same would be said for the Dodgers with Kershaw, Ryu, and Buehler. But the thing is, the Cardinals have a better bullpen than both of those teams. So I think, even though the closer position might be an area of concern, they still have the strength overall against the Dodgers and the Nationals. So if it just becomes a battle of the bullpens late in the game, regardless of whether they're facing the Nationals or the Dodgers, the advantage goes to the Cardinals.
I think that's absolutely fair to say. Speaking of those Dodgers and Nationals, how about tonight? We have an absolutely classic Game 5 scenario set up tonight. Walker Buehler versus Steven Strasburg. That should be one for the ages. This should be an absolutely fantastic game. Guys, I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at like a 1-0 game here where the first person to give up a run loses.
Now, if you are Davey Martinez and Steven Strasburg ends up he's at, let's say, 110 pitches after 6 innings, who do you go to after that?
I'm not going anyone. Let's recap the scenario here.
Well,
has he given up multiple runs? Is he just added a lot of pitches?
Let's say it's a one. You're up by 1 run, and Steven Strasburg's clearly got to get taken out of the game. Do you go the starting pitching route
Corbin,
again?
you have to. You have to go the starting pitching route because Martinez doesn't have reliable pieces in the bullpen that he can go to besides Hudson to get outs, and you obviously want to save Daniel Hudson for the last 3 outs. I do not trust Doolittle
he's been
right
so
now.
bad. He's an ERA over 4 for the year.
I think Davey Martinez has to be unconventional here with his bullpen. He's had to do it all postseason, and that's why I didn't blame him for bringing Corbin into Game 3, because what else was he going to do? Who else was he going to turn to?
Right, exactly.
Like if he brings in Wander Suero or someone of that nature and they give up 6 runs, you're going to say, why didn't he go to Corbin? So he's made the right moves this postseason. He should not be blamed for that, and he's done a very good job for the most part of going the unconventional starter route with the bullpen.
So you're not concerned by his past outing out of the bullpen against the Dodgers. Are you worried about the way he ended the season? Because he didn't end the season on that high of a note either. That last start versus the Cleveland Indians, he gave up 6 runs in just 4 1/3 innings. And then last night he comes in out of relief and gives up 6 runs and gets just 2 outs. You're not worried about that?
Yeah, but Robbie, who else do they have?
Yeah,
would you rather trust Wander Suero, like you said?
Corbin had some trouble in the first inning of Game 1, but then he settled down, pitched 6 solid innings in that game. And since the start of 2018, entering Game 1 of the LDS, he had a .47 ERA against the Dodgers. And the Dodgers' kryptonite is lefties, and it's those breaking balls that lefties throw that can give their lineup issues. So Corbin has to be the guy. And if it's not Corbin, you go to Scherzer for an inning. Because
go to Max Scherzer again?
Scherzer and Corbin right now are still better than any option in the Nationals bullpen outside of Hudson. But ideally you want to save Hudson for the last 3 outs. So my first option would be to go to Corbin because he has that extra day of rest. because he was close to getting out. He was close a couple times to getting out of that inning on Sunday night in Game 3. The slider just wasn't breaking. He wasn't getting some close calls. Yes, he did get roughed up. Obviously, he gave up 6 runs. That's not ideal, but it's do or die. He's your $140 million man. You have to go to him. If you don't trust him now, when are you going to trust him? Like, this is why you pay him $140 million.
If I'm Davey Martinez, what I want is Steven Strasburg to go 6 innings. Then I want Patrick Corbin to just give me 1 shutout inning. Sean Doolittle throws the 8th. And then you got Daniel Hudson in the 9th inning. To me, that's the most clear, safe, and easy option you got. And if Steven Strasburg can't go 6 innings, then you're going to probably need, as James said, Patrick Corbin to go more than 1 inning. However, to me, I spoke with a Nationals fan today, and he said that he was incredibly concerned and didn't even trust Patrick Corbin to come into a game like tonight. So he proposed the idea of just hoping that a guy like Fernando Ronnie or Hunter Strickland comes in.
So let me get
I
this
said,
straight.
there's no way you can trust that.
Let me get this straight.
There's no way you can trust that.
A Nationals fan that you talked to today said that they rather have Fernando Rodney in the game than Patrick Corbin
He did
with
say
the
that.
game on the line.
Yep, he did.
I don't know how to respond to that.
No, they
I
have
don't.
they have to be unconventional and go to. They have to.
That's
go
what
the
I'm
starter
saying.
route.
They don't have a choice.
No, it's clear.
You worry about you worry about the NLCS in the NLCS. You have to get there first, and then in the NLCS you just take it game by game, like they've taken this Dodgers series. You go the unconventional route with your starters. One more point. I think ideally, for the Nationals, Strasburg has to go 7 because then it makes that 8th inning easier to bridge to Hudson if they have the lead.
Now, would you want Anibal Sanchez to come in?
I mean, for an inning, sure. He did a good job on Sunday.
Or if Strasburg throws 5 innings, how about just throw Anibal Sanchez for an inning or 2 and then bring Patrick Corbin in after that? Then you can go the Doolittle Hudson route.
The thing is that this game can go in so many different directions, and I think the first team to 3 wins.
So we're not seeing another 13-1 game here, is what you're saying?
Correct.
Now, if you are the Dodgers and it's Buehler going on tonight, right?
Yes,
It is.
Buehler.
Okay.
Well, after Buehler, it's going to be Kershaw.
That's what I'm saying.
It is. It's going to be Kershaw.
So if you're the Dodgers, you're essentially just going to go Buehler for hopefully 6 or 7 innings and then go Kershaw the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think Buehler's going to have. Buehler's he had 5 days of rest, so he got that 1 extra day. So I think it's going to be like Buehler for 7. I think his stuff is going to be electric. He's going to have a feel for it. The problem with him is if he gets amped up too much, he's going to start walking guys, and his pitch count's going to get up. So the thing with Buehler is that if he's not amped up, he'll go 7 strong. But if he's amped up and his pitch count gets high, then you have to worry about him only going 5 or 6. But I don't think that's going to be an issue with Buehler tonight. So you hope Buehler goes 6 or 7 if you're the Dodgers, then ride Kershaw the rest of the way.
Interesting. I haven't heard that kind of a thought, letting Kershaw go the rest of the game, solely on the fact that Kershaw obviously doesn't have the postseason numbers that a Dodger fan would ideally hope for.
I've never heard that one.
But I think that in that situation they would be up and he would close it out in a 2 or 3 inning scenario. Like he came in the 9th against the Nationals in 2016 and the LDS closed that out. He did it against the Cubs. No, he didn't do it against the Cubs.
No.
He did it in Game 7 against Houston in that World Series. He pitched the last 4 innings, even though the game was kind of out of reach at that point. He still came in and shoved. So
right.
I don't think Kershaw coming out of relief is anything like an area of concern. And yes, he's been up and down in the postseason, but there have been games where he's shown up. Game 7 in the LCS last year against Milwaukee, he closed it out.
That's right. Yes.
So he's shown up in the postseason before.
He also gave up a home run to a pitcher in that series.
Yeah, he's also one of the greatest pitchers this generation. So you're going to trust Kershaw.
So
for the
if
Dodgers.
Buehler gives you 6 innings, would you throw Kershaw 2 innings and then Jensen for the 9th, or do you just ride Kershaw for the last 3 innings?
Ideally, if I were them, I'd ride Kershaw the last 3. But you also have to see how he's pitching. Like if he's laboring through those 2 innings, then you obviously go to Kenley. But Kenley's not the same guy.
Kenley is not a reliable closer anymore.
I think you go Kershaw the rest of the game if they're winning, and then if it gets to a situation you need to bring in Jansen, then you bring in Jansen.
Touching on Jansen real quick, it really is a shame because I'm not sure if it's something just of him becoming older and growing older in his age. I wonder how much his heart problems actually have to do with it. You know what I mean? And it's such a shame because he was just an electric closer for so many years and just untouchable.
That has to be at the root of it.
That's what I think.
I think that has to be.
Just remember this. Kenley Jensen, he was one of those guys that went from 0 to 100 essentially really quickly. I remember one day Kenley Jensen's the best closer in baseball, and then the next, he's blown more saves than anybody in baseball. He had more blown saves this season than Edwin Diaz. Let that sink in. Okay, Edwin Diaz had an ERA over 5 this season, and Kenley Jensen had more blown saves than him. He's clearly not the same guy that he once was, and
That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering how much of that has to do with his heart problems.
I want to say it's definitely the heart because last year he was super electric until the injury happened.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and it really is a shame because, like Robbie said, absolutely one of the most consistent closers in baseball, and it just seemed like out of nowhere he started becoming just not a shell of his former self. Something that I really feel like I want to mention about the Dodgers bullpen. And maybe this is just me because I don't watch a lot of Dodgers games, but why does it seem like every time I turn on a Dodgers game and see them blowing it, it's Pedro Baez on the mound? Does anyone else get that impression?
Well, like, I mean, it's
is
Pedro
he just
Baez.
that bad? I mean, because he's been on the Dodgers for what, like 5 years now? Like,
well, okay, the thing on Monday, he inherited Urias's mess. And
right.
Okay, let's go back to Monday. I think Dave Roberts did a little bit. The Dodgers, they love to use the analytics. They love to rely on the analytics, and that's obvious in this day and age. That's obviously good. But I think Dave Roberts at times has a tendency to rely on them too much and to overmanage. And Urias came in on Sunday and shoved. He did a great job. He got them out of trouble, and he bridged that gap in the middle innings till their offense exploded off Corbin. So he's done a good job this postseason, but he wanted to use him a second day in a row. Maeda came in the third inning of Game 4 and had pitched an inning and a third and really was just dominating. Like the Nationals weren't doing anything off him. And then he was due up in the fifth. So he was due up second, and Roberts pinch hit for him instead of letting him hit for himself, and he went to Urias for the second day in a row, which if I were a Dodgers fan, I wouldn't necessarily have agreed with.
No, I wouldn't have either.
And so, because you're overusing one of your best pitchers, and the more times you see a pitcher, the better of a read you get on him.
Right, exactly.
As an offense. So,
yes.
you knew Washington was going to get a good read on him. So, I think he overmanaged in bringing Urias in, and that ultimately cost him that game. I was at that game. That was a great atmosphere. It was unfortunate that it wasn't a sellout. Like, a lot of people seemed like had given up, and I got my tickets for pretty cheap, especially for a postseason game. But
was that not a sellout?
It was not. It was
wow.
It was like 30. I think it was 36,500, and the full capacity there is like 42,500.
No, that happened with Tampa Bay in Game 3 as well. That wasn't even close to being sold out.
We'll talk about the Trop later, but the Trop the last two nights has actually been.
It
hasn't been at full capacity, but it's been pretty close, and those fans have been loud and shown up. And this team won 90 games last year, and they won 96 games this year. So it's not like they've come out of the woodworks and just exploded and gone on a magical run. They've been a good team the past couple of years, so these fans should show up. Like, I don't. Enough about it being in St. Petersburg instead of Tampa in an inconvenient location. Like, this is a good baseball team. If you're the fans on there, show up, because it's obviously not too inconvenient for a 1 o'clock game in the postseason or then Game 4 night game. Show up, show support for the Rays. As a team, they deserve it.
Now, one point that I want to get going to before we get to the next topic of conversation.
Cardinals officially won. Just want to throw that out.
Congratulations to St. Louis Cardinals. You're about to see either the Dodgers or Nationals. I'm still going to say the Dodgers win the series. I don't know about you guys, but one thing that I have noticed, and I know I'm kind of jumping the gun because we haven't gotten here yet, but this is giving me a huge boost of confidence as a Yankee fan, is that all these teams are going on short days of rest when it comes to whoever's in the championship series. With the Nationals, it looks like, say the Nationals do beat the Dodgers tonight, the Nationals are not going to have many fully rested starting pitchers going into the CS. And to me, that's a huge sign of concern. And the Cardinals, you're not going to have Flaherty going into Game 1 either. So there's no teams left outside of the Yankees that can go into Game 1 and saying we have a starter going in on a full day's rest.
Wainwright will go Game 1. He'll be on regular rest.
But he's not their ace, though.
I know, but the thing, they were saying this on the broadcast too, because I thought they should have taken Flaherty out after 2 or 3 innings after he'd thrown like 50 pitches. But they were saying that Schilt probably wants to keep Flaherty on his regular schedule and routine and to not mess that up.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense. So he'll start Game 3 on Monday, and then he would be in line for a potential Game 7 whenever that would be next, in 2 Saturdays or Sundays, or like whenever the schedule lines up. So it makes sense because he's been on such a roll in the second half. But then obviously, if need be, I'm sure Flaherty could go on short rest.
Now, but doesn't that kind of give a team a bit of a disadvantage?
Well, let me propose this to you, because you're saying that because they're going just crazy back with playing, that might be a disadvantage. What about looking at, I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks ago, what about the Tigers in 2012, I believe it was? What was the year where they won and just sat there and did nothing?
It was 2012 when they got swept by the Giants.
Right.
Yeah, they swept the Yankees and then had like an
they
8 or 9 day layoff.
And then sat there and did nothing for 9 days and then got swept.
But the thing is, the Yankees aren't going on an 8 or 9 day.
No,
I'm not saying that.
But like the point is that like sometimes you don't like. Obviously, yes, I think the short rest affected Verlander last night, and short rest can affect pitchers. And pitchers on short rest aren't necessarily the best, but you also don't want to sit around because you can't simulate game action. And usually in the postseason, sometimes the teams that play the longest end up winning because they're on such a roll. They only get 1 or 2 days off in between series. So while a couple days of rest can be good, if you have an extended period of time off, that can ultimately end up hurting you. I'm not saying that it's going to end up hurting the Yankees, but if you look in the past at teams that have had 4 more days of rest in between a series, they've come out flat in the first couple games. So I think that's just something that the Yankees have to be aware of, just overall, that they in game 1 they might come out flat all around just because they haven't played in 5 days.
Now, okay, so let's go back to the Nationals because that's what we were talking about before this. If the Nationals win tonight, who goes in game 1 against the Cardinals?
It really depends on who pitches tonight. If Corbin doesn't go tonight, he pitches in game 1.
Okay, if you use Corbin tonight, you basically don't have Max Scherzer. You obviously can't have Patrick Corbin. You can't have Steven Strasburg.
Sanchez and hope for the best.
Yeah,
so you're going to use Anibal Sanchez in game 1?
Yeah,
hope for the best.
That's an immediate disadvantage.
No, you could go Sanchez with Corbin in relief, and then Scherzer in game 2, which would be his regular rest day, Monday to Saturday. Strasburg in game 3, that would be his regular rest day, and then you go Corbin game 4. You just kind of reset the rotation.
So,
yes, we're getting into a lot of hypotheticals here with how honestly, it really depends on how tonight's going to play out and how much they're used.
Right.
I think we can't really fully evaluate it until after tonight's over if they do end up winning this game.
If I'm Davey Martinez, I do whatever I can tonight not to use Patrick Corbin in relief. That's just myself, but that's what I do. And I know that you have to win tonight, but I would rather go to Anibal Sanchez in relief tonight than Patrick Corbin for 2 reasons. Number 1, Anibal Sanchez looked great in his last outing, and Patrick Corbin did not. Number 2, if you win this series, if you win tonight, then you're going to be fine against the Cardinals in the championship series.
See, I would argue the exact opposite because I say that it doesn't matter. Exactly. You have to get there for that to matter.
Because let's say they blow it at some point in relief and they lose, then all offseason, all you're going to be thinking about as a team and as a manager is, I should have used them. It's going
to be Zach Britton all over again.
Why? If you pay someone $140 million.
That was different, though.
No, I know, but if you pay someone $140 million and then you just decide not to use them because, we need a game 1 starter, worry about game 1 in game 1. Sanchez is fully capable going out there and give you 5 innings, and then worry about those middle innings in game 1 when you get there. You need to get there first, which is something the Nationals have never done. So this is ultra important for their franchise.
To me, it's just the idea that, number 1, like I said, Patrick Corbin looked horrendous in his last outing. He has not pitched very well at all recently, and honestly,
he
quite
wasn't
frankly,
bad in game 1.
Besides game 1, he was good in game 1. I will give him that. But the more important part is Anibal Sanchez simply has been better lately than Patrick Corbin has, and I just don't see what's wrong with going to Sanchez in relief today if he's been that good recently.
No, I'm not saying I have an issue with Sanchez going in relief. I'm just saying
you'd rather use Patrick Corbin.
I'd rather use Corbin and if desperate measures call for it, Scherzer. You got to use your horses.
Max Scherzer pitched 2 days ago, though.
I know, but if I'm saying if in a desperation time, this is game 5.
Yeah, all hands on deck.
Exactly. Kershaw pitched on 1 or 2 days rest last year in the LCS.
Yeah, but look how that turned out. I mean, my thing is though, when somebody goes on 1 or 2 days of rest, their stuff it's not going to be the same.
I know, but if the Nationals get to a desperate point where they need Scherzer to go an inning or to get an out or 2, they should go to him. I'm not saying I would go to Corbin first, but I'm just saying Scherzer will be ready to go.
So you're essentially saying Patrick Corbin and Anibal Sanchez before Max Scherzer, or do you go Scherzer before Sanchez?
Depends on the situation. You gotta have a feel for the game, and I think that the game will dictate it. Yeah. I really think the game will dictate it.
Yeah,
and I think
exactly.
It also depends on when you're going to pinch hit for the pitcher. When a spot is due up, if you have a potential rally spot. There's a lot of things that go into it. I really think you just have to get in the game and see where you're at. But Scherzer is an option tonight for the Nationals.
Because this is real baseball. We don't have that DH in this game.
It's do or die, and you have to
This would be an easier decision if there was a DH in the National League. This would be a much easier decision.
This is not a DH argument. This is not a DH argument. This is do or die, and if they have to go to Scherzer, they go to Scherzer. It doesn't matter whether he's on 1 day rest. Your first option should be Corbin. and then Scherzer, and then Sanchez, and then you try to get to Hudson.
That's fair. Either way, the way tonight plays out, I think James is right. We're not going to be able to analyze it fully until what actually happens tonight.
And just one more thing on the series. This has been a phenomenal series.
Oh, it has.
This has been a phenomenal series. It's been great baseball. And if you're the Dodgers, you have all the pressure in the world on you tonight. Nobody's facing more pressure right now than the Dodgers. You win 106 games. You dominate for 6 months of the season. You're one of the two best teams in all of baseball with Houston, and then you could potentially just choke and lose. How do you come back from that? What do you do?
No,
because
we talked about this last week. What do you do?
I know. I don't have the answer. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
If you win 106 games and you can at least get back to the World Series after going there 2 years in a row, this is the best team they've had in their decade run of dominance. They have to win tonight. There's no excuse.
Yeah.
And now transitioning to the Houston series, they also have all the pressure in the world on them. They won 107 games, dominated for 6 months, were the best team in the league, pretty much all year. And if they lose, that's inexcusable. Even though they won 103 games last year, the Red Sox won 108 and were a buzzsaw. This year, Tampa Bay, yes, they won 96 games, but they're not a powerhouse. They're not a team that's going to be remembered forever. This loss for the Astros would be inexcusable if they lose this series, especially with Cole going at home tomorrow. If Garrett Cole can't get the job done tomorrow at home, that's a shame. I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that though. I think Garrett Cole, he's the best pitcher in the world right now. He's gonna show up tomorrow night, and he's gonna show everyone why he's gonna be worth X amount of dollars this offseason. Over $200 million.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So we're going to get into some more discussion about the AL series as we talked extensively about the NL. We're going to take a quick break here. Also, when we come back, it's going to be game time in LA. We got Game 5 getting ready to get started, that Strasburg versus Buehler matchup that we were just talking about. So we will have all live updates with that. Like I said, we're going to take a quick commercial break here, and we will be right back with that content right after the break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Nation's Pastime in the Nation's Capital. I'm your host, Andrew Snaith, here with my co-host, Robbie Cruz, and James Higgins. And like I said, we're getting underway here with game time in Los Angeles. Should be an absolutely beautiful Game 5. Nationals trying to make it to the NLCS for the first time in franchise history. Dodgers trying to hang on there and finally finish the deal and get back to the World Series and win it. So should be a fantastic game. So while that's happening, we'll be giving you some updates. Of course, we have it live here in the studio. But while that we are waiting for that game to get underway and for some action to happen, let's go ahead and talk about the American League Division Series this weekend and past week. Because we have seen, I feel like, two very surprisingly different outcomes than what a lot of people would have thought have, and especially different than what a lot of us here at the studio were thinking. Firstly, of course, got to give credit to the Yankees. As much as I can't stand them, they held this absolutely dynamite Twins offense, the team that shattered all the team baseball home run records this year, to 7 runs this inning, and I believe 2 home runs, and that's absolutely incredible from a Yankees team that we trashed almost the entire month for having no pitching.
Remember when everybody was going on air and they were saying the Yankees have no pitching, they're never going to win the World Series with this kind of pitching? Remember you said that, James?
They still haven't won the World Series yet.
Okay, fine. They won the series. Weren't you the one that was saying that they were going to lose because they had no pitching?
Look, for me, it was more wishful thinking because most of the year I did say that New York would face Houston, and then in my postseason prediction I did pick Minnesota, but I think for me it was more wishful thinking. Although I will take the blame for it. I'll take the L here. Said Minnesota would win, they didn't.
Now,
I still think if they were to face Houston in the ALCS, I still think their starting pitching would be an area of concern. Yes.
Now,
before you go on, Robbie, I do want to say I'll take an L here as well because I 100% said the Twins would win that. It was not biased at all, I assure you.
You're going to take the L when the Yankees win the World Series.
Well, hold on a second. I mean, I feel like they got to get through one more team before they get there. But you know what? I just said this off air a second ago, and we'll get into this a little bit later when we talk about the other ALDS matchup. But if the Rays somehow win and the Nationals win tonight, I don't see how you can't just crown the Yankees the World Series champions. I know it's baseball and anything can happen, but if the Rays and the Nationals are what the Yankees have to overcome, it's not even going to be fun baseball. Like I'll have no motivation to watch the rest of it because the Yankees are just going to steamroll through. They're just too good of a team. Like as much as I'd love to, and we were talking about this earlier as well. As much as I'd love to see the Rays win tomorrow and go on this storybook run, it's not going to happen. If they win tomorrow and knock out the Astros, they can celebrate because they just got rid of the best team in baseball. They're just going to lose immediately to the Yankees. So it's a shame.
Here, let's go back to the Yankee series because that's something I'm incredibly proud to talk about.
Okay.
So the Yankees looked incredible against the Minnesota Twins, obviously sweeping them. It looks and sounds great. But what stood out to me about this series was just the heart and the determination that the Yankees came out with. A team that had, so much criticism coming into the series. As everybody was saying, people were constantly bringing up the fact that the Yankees didn't have very solid starting pitching. They mentioned that Luis Severino only had 3 starts. He didn't count. James Paxton had knee issues and wasn't always the most consistent. Domingo Germán wasn't available, and that was going to screw us over. Masahiro Tanaka, he's not that great of a pitcher. But all the guys, except for Domingo Germán, stepped up when they had to. The bullpen was great. Chad Green, Zach Britton, Aroldis Chapman, Adam Ottavino, all those guys were absolutely terrific, and they were probably the biggest reason as to why the Yankees won this series. And the offense obviously stepped up when they had to. Guys coming up with big hits. DJ LeMahieu looked great. Gio Urshela was great. Stanton was great when he needed to be. Aaron Judge was great. There was not one person in that lineup that, to me, was a free out essentially every single time. All those guys were putting up great at-bats. They were coming up with big hits when they had to make them, and that is why they won this series. You put great pitching, and something I did not talk about, by the way, was the defense. The defense was absolutely incredible.
Oh, that one Gleyber Torres play? I think it was Eddie Rosario hit that into the shift. Fantastic
DJ
play.
at first base.
Yeah.
Gio Urshela at third base. Brett Gardner made some nice plays in left field. This is why the Yankees are going to win the World Series this year. You put all these factors together, and that is going to change everything. Mark my words.
Now, James, something I got to ask you, because we were just mentioning about it. Are the Twins cursed now that they've lost their 16th straight postseason game there with the Yankees?
Against all 16
yes,
against
the Yankees. Is this franchise cursed? Because at this point, I feel like that has to be the answer.
Well, in 06, they got swept by the A's.
Oh, yes, correct.
So
they weren't all by the Yankees.
They won Game 1 in 04 of the LDS against the Yankees.
Yeah,
they got
they
swept, so that's 3. Oakland was 6 in 06. 09 was 9 against the Yankees.
Yep. And
then 2010, they played the Yankees, and that was 12. They lost the wild card game against the Yankees, 17, and then these 3.
After putting up 3 in the first inning.
They are cursed. The Minnesota Twins are cursed.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the Twins aren't cursed, and that they've just had the only curse that the Minnesota Twins have had is that they've had to go up against the Yankees all these times. The Yankees are incredibly good in the postseason, and honestly, the only curse that they're facing right now is that they just have to keep going up against a team that's simply better than them. I mean, not one of these Minnesota Twin teams have been better than the Yankees. You go back to 09, that team was not better than the Yankees. You know, the Yankees were much better all around. The only advantage that the Twins really had was starting pitching, and that wasn't even that much better than what the
You're
Yankees
talking about
had.
09?
Yeah.
The advantage? Well, I feel like this year, though, this was a Twins team. If any of them were going to do it, this could have been the one just because of their explosive offensive capabilities.
Now,
But then they just disappeared. There was no explosive offense. Like we said, they scored 7 runs. Like I don't know how that happens. You know,
do you think that if the Twins face the Astros in the first round, do they get swept?
If the Twins face the Astros, honestly,
I'm going to say no, they don't get swept.
You're going to say they don't get swept?
No, because the Yankees are a better team than the Astros.
I don't think that's true, but we'll have to see about that.
How did Zach Greinke look in Game 3, by the way?
Okay, well, if you're just gonna take
How's
one
Wade Miley
guy
looking out of the bullpen?
Yes.
Okay, dude, it's one
How's
game.
Josh James
It's one
looking out of
game.
the
It's
bullpen?
one game. It's one game.
Well, if it's
It's
Wade
one
Miley's
game.
been bad for about 6 straight games.
Okay, well, he should have started Game 4. That was the first mistake that AJ Hinch made.
That was a mistake.
He should have started Game 4, and they should have. If they didn't win, they should just go to Verlander in Game 5. But that's a different discussion.
How did Justin Verlander look in his last start, by the way? I
Short-
forget. Can you remind me?
Okay.
Wait, can you remind me how he did?
Okay, why are we talking about it in that way when he shoved in Game 1 at home and went on regular rest? He's going to be fine.
Is he going to have regular rest against the Yankees, though?
He will on Sunday in Game 2, yeah.
But then if he's needed after that game, because I don't think so. I think that the Astros are going to need him to step up and pitch on short days rest.
Okay, then he's done it before in the
Justin
postseason.
Verlander we're talking about. He'll be fine.
Yeah, and Justin Verlander was fine last night, wasn't he?
Okay,
Again, you're
dude, it's
taking
not like
one game.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like his post, he shoved in 17 with Houston. He shoved last year. He shoved this year. He was great in Game 1. He had one bad postseason game last night on short rest.
And I questioned his command after watching him last night. He had no
And so
command.
did he.
His pitch wasn't good. His pitch
So
weren't
did he.
good at
Listen to his
all.
interview.
Yes,
he did
I
the
know
same
he said that he was
thing.
bad.
Can we be real, though? Even though Justin Verlander was the losing pitcher last night, can we remember that this man is still married to Kate Upton? So is he really a loser?
Nationals
I'm
went
not
down
calling him a
1-2-3 in the
loser,
first.
What was that?
Nationals went down 1-2-3 in the
1-2-3
first.
in the first, yeah. So Buehler's looking good.
Now,
right
Yeah,
out of
his
that.
stuff looks good tonight.
I'm just
Quick inning.
intrigued to see how the pitching does tonight for the Nationals. I'm interested to see what Dave Martinez does after Steven Strasburg. I'm interested to see whether he goes to Patrick Corbin or, as James mentioned earlier, possibly Max Scherzer. But let's go back to the Yankees and Astros because that's kind of the main focal point that I want to focus on.
Hold on a second. We don't even know if they're going to be playing each other yet. That's going to be all about tomorrow night.
look, I don't like to pray about sports, but I almost want to pray that the Astros lose tomorrow to the Rays, because I think that the Astros can beat the Yankees. I don't think that they will, but it's a lot more doable than obviously the Rays going up against New York. But the reason why I have so much more confidence for the Yankees against the Rays is simply because the Astros have much better starting pitching. And the bullpen obviously isn't that bad. Roberto Osuna was not good in Game 2 whatsoever. He did not look good. I know you guys were.
He did finish that off though, didn't he?
He did.
Yes, he did.
They came to Will Harris. Will Harris.
Oh,
came
you know what?
afterwards.
You're right.
Yeah.
They brought Harris in because he loaded the bases. Yeah.
I know that you guys were raving over the Astros back end of the bullpen, saying that
raving over it. We were saying that it didn't matter.
Ryan Presley, Roberto Osuna, all those guys. By the way, those two guys have looked pretty bad so far this series, so don't count on them coming in to save the Astros' butts against the New York Yankees. Now, this is just going back to the point that I was making a few weeks ago. You guys were saying that the Astros were this perfect team, that they had no weakness whatsoever.
We never said they were perfect.
Houston, we have no problem.
We said they were the best team in baseball.
They still are the best team in baseball right now.
That's not synonymous with perfect. We said they were the best team. Yes, it's baseball, and I agree with that. That's why we're going to be playing a 5-game series with the Rays versus the Astros right now, because it happens. But you know what? At the same time, you can't deny the fact that, first of all, we never said they were perfect. They're still the best team. And until they're eliminated, they're the best team in this postseason right now, because when you look at best in baseball, yes, it is baseball, but when you look at best and you look at the rosters, they have a more talented team, and that's just simply how it is. Now, honestly, though, I do want to talk about this series real quick, because this ALDS has been fantastic, and I know James briefly mentioned it before the break about the Trop, but and it is a shame for it not selling out because it being, whether it be 1 p.m. or whether it being in Tampa Bay or whatever, but the Trop on TV the past couple nights has been so fun to watch. Like, it's so awesome to see Tampa Bay getting into the games and you're seeing all the lights they have on the ceilings and everything with all that, and they have just fans getting so into it. It's fantastic to see a franchise like this that just hasn't had that much success, and even though they have had success and been winning teams, but just haven't had that recognition, it feels like. So we said they won 90 games last year, 96 this year. It's cool to see them like that, and it's cool to see them force a Game 5 like this, even if they don't win tomorrow, which I feel like a lot of people don't have them doing. They got this far against, like we said, the best team in baseball. I think that's very good for them.
I'll be the first to admit the Astros are the better team than the Yankees, but you still never know. This is the game of baseball. I know I've been reiterating the fact that the Yankees are going to win the World Series because I still do believe it's going to happen. I just have that gut feeling. But the thing with the Rays, I'm inspired by how hard they play. I'm not going to lie. I had the Astros sweeping them.
Yeah.
After I saw the Rays get blown out in game, well, not get blown out, but the way that they looked in Game 2, I thought that they were going to get swept in the series. And then what did they do? In the very first inning, they just, in Game 3 against Zach Greinke, they just, well, not the first inning.
That was the Kiermaier homer, right?
Yeah. Started with the Kevin Kiermaier home run, and then they just went uphill from there.
Peterson, no, he didn't go deep. It got stuck under the wall. Peterson might have just gone deep.
So Peterson's rounding the bases.
But
it looks
Soto
like
is claiming the ball got stuck under the inside the fence in the bullpen.
Oh my goodness, I've never seen anything like this. So it looks like the ball went inside of the bullpen fence.
Let me figure this out, and then you guys could.
Yeah. Let us know when you have an update.
James, during commercial break, James told us, he said, knowing the Nationals' luck, something weird is going to happen. And the fact that this is happening.
Absolutely.
You said that, James. You remember that?
All right, so we're looking at the replay now.
This is actually the most confidence I've had in a Nationals team going into a Game 5, but it's the Nationals in the postseason, so never expect
that went in the wall. That 100% went.
Never expect good things to happen, and that should probably be a ground rule double, right?
So it looks like the way that the fence is in left field is it's like a gated fence, and it went between the padding and the gated fence in left field.
Oh, yeah, that should be a ground rule double.
So that should be a ground rule double. It looks like Peterson's going to be sent to second.
One thing to note, though, about Steven Strasburg.
That should be corrected.
One thing to know about Steven Strasburg tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe he's going to opt out either way. What do you think?
Oh, after this postseason performance, yes, you have to. Because even if the Nationals don't re-sign him, someone is going to give him more money than he's getting.
Now, do you think that if he performs incredibly well tonight, you think he could get some extra cash just from the start alone?
I mean, look, did Nathan Eovaldi get extra cash from his performance?
He's had a great history in the postseason throughout his career. He's a .65 ERA in his career in the postseason, so he's been known to perform in the October stage very well. So I think that, this start will help him, but it's not like this is a bender break. And Peterson is getting sent back to second. But regardless, Strasburg always performs in the postseason.
And he always has, too.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
Right.
it's not like this start is like, oh, he finally did it.
Which,
he's
also
done it.
makes it even more sad to remember back in 2012 when they could have had him and decided not
They
to
shut
use
him down, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
This is off topic for a second, but James, as a second Nationals fan, behind the Red Sox, do you think that would have made a difference that year? Was that their year to maybe do something?
They would have. I truly believe they would have won that year if they didn't shut down Strasburg.
Which is a shame, yeah.
Gio Gonzalez was absolutely terrific that year.
In 2012, yes.
2012, absolutely incredible.
Great pickup,
The 2.89 ERA, I mean, absolutely incredible. His first year coming to the Nationals from the Oakland Athletics, just superb. And the fact that he had to carry that Nationals rotation in that series, it just wasn't doable. They forced him on short days of rest, and he's just not one of those guys that can do it. I remember it was basically him and Jordan Zimmerman going for the Nationals that season, and it just didn't work out for them.
So was that officially called the ground rule double?
Yeah,
then, it looks
sorry,
like?
officially called a ground rule double.
So we got him on second with nobody out, Muncy up, and so it looks like the Nationals are going to be some trouble right out of the get-go here in the top of the first, 2-0 on Muncy now. Yeah, I think what you said is absolutely true along the fact that it's a Game 5 and it's the Nationals. Something weird's going to happen. I will agree with you, though, James. Been watching the Nationals over the past couple years in these types of games. I will say if there's a Nationals team that I feel like could do it, it's definitely this one. Just something about the past couple years has always just given me the feeling that it doesn't matter. They're not going to be able to pull it off. They're just going to lose in the first round again. But you know what? We'll see. Like we just talked about, Steven Strasburg is a fantastic postseason pitcher. Showed us what he could do in relief in the wildcard game. Showed us what he could do the other day when he started. So
he deserves more love from Nationals fans because he is so good, and he's been so good and so consistent for so long.
I think it was you, James, who made the point last week about the tremendous amount of pressure that was put on him being drafted and coming up.
He could never reach those expectations.
No,
but
it'd be impossible.
He's still done a phenomenal job, even though he hasn't won a Cy Young. He's a 3-time All-Star.
Yeah.
He easily could have made 4 or 5 All-Star teams. If he ages well, he could potentially be a Hall of Famer. Not saying he's a Hall of Famer right now, but if he ages well in his 30s, he could be. So,
and let's just give him some credit. This is a guy who's always stepped up when he's needed to step up.
Oh,
And the
absolutely.
Nationals
I think he's labeled as soft because of the year they shut him down, but he didn't want to be shut down. That was the team's decision, and he's always performed well under pressure. He's not soft.
Oh, wait, we got something.
And Max
something.
Muncy
2-0.
has taken Strasburg deep.
Gone.
Oh, no.
2-run home run, Max Muncy. Dodgers up 2-0 right away.
Wow. Didn't even get an
We were
out
raving
yet.
about Steven Strasburg a second ago, and already a
Not
home run.
even an out recorded, and it is 2-0 Dodgers in the top of the first. That is just oh man.
James,
That's
how
a blow.
concerned are you right now? The fact that he gave up a double to Jock Peterson that was nearly a home run, and now a 2-run home run to Max Muncy. How concerned are you tonight about Steven Strasburg's outing?
I'm not concerned right now, and maybe this is karma flipping itself. The Nationals have always blown leads in Game 5s.
Oh, it's karma flipping itself. Yeah.
They've blown leads in Game 5s at home, so now they're on the road. It'll be their turn to come back.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. So
but like seriously, you think about it, you played enough of those Game 5s, you eventually win one. I'm serious.
Okay, you'd like to think so, yeah, but
Did the Twins ever do it?
Twins haven't been
Well,
playing.
exactly. They
games.
haven't been able to make it to 5 games because they keep having to face the Yankees in the playoffs.
Will we ever see the day when
You know,
Washington Nationals
it was
get
interesting.
past the first series?
It was
of
interesting
playoffs?
because before this game,
Yeah.
I was in conversation with the Washington Nationals fan, and I said,
Now hold on, is this the same one that does not trust Patrick
It's a
Corbin
different
and
one.
would rather
It's a
have
different one.
Okay.
I was saying, what if the Nationals start out today the way that the Braves started out today? Just giving up run after run after run. It's not looking too good, by the way, for the Nationals.
Oh, it's so sad too because we had these 2 great postseason pitching matchups lined up, and now it's 2-0 Dodgers in the first, and then that one it was 10-0 Cardinals in the first. I mean, what happened to all these pitching duels that I was promised? I mean, I don't know. It's not exactly. Well, you know what? I think that goes back to exactly what Robbie was saying earlier, though. It's baseball. You never know what's going to happen.
and
It's just,
not, next batter is Justin Turner, already up 3-0 in the count against Steven Strasburg. So
Strasburg definitely looks a little bit off right now. Still, he doesn't look like he has a
now,
command of the plate.
is he
He's
going
been
on short
behind
days
in all
rest?
of his counts.
Is he going, he's not
No,
going on
he's
short
not.
rest?
No.
So you don't think that has anything to do with his slow starts?
I don't because he's not on short rest.
Yeah, no, he's not.
I
Because
think
he
he's
pitched
just-
well. It was game 2, right?
Yeah, he pitched on Friday,
Yeah,
so
on
it's
Friday.
Friday and Wednesday is normal.
Yes,
I just think-
completely normal.
And he just
There's
walked
ball
Justin
four.
Turner on 4 pitches.
I just think he's a little off. Speaking of this series, I think we should talk about Bellinger's struggles. I think
Sure, yeah.
I think part of it is the Nationals have had a very good game plan against him, pitching him low and away and up and in, and low and in. They've been pitching him hard in all those locations, and they've been pitching him away, low and away with the breaking ball. So I think they've done a good job of neutralizing him. And he does have a few hits, but I mean he really has been like a non-factor in the sense of like the run producing.
Yeah, no, I think that's very
department.
true. Yeah,
Well, speaking of Cody Bellinger, right man up for the spot.
yeah, he's up now with the men on first. Bellinger, this postseason, what does it look like?
No
Like
home
200
runs
average?
and no RBIs.
Yeah, 200 average. Not exactly been a postseason remember so far for him, but you know what? We're still very early, and if they can pull this off tonight, he's got plenty of time for the rest of the postseason
Now,
to be more than
okay,
more
if you're
productive.
Mike Rizzo, the general manager for the Washington Nationals,
Yep.
and you guys lose tonight, what do you do at that point?
I would
you got some
probably-
big
well, the
free,
first
you
thing I
got
would-
Anthony Rendon, that's a
Right,
free agent.
yeah.
Steven Strasburg's probably going to opt out. You got so many bullpen questions.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So here's what I would probably do if I was Mike Rizzo. First thing I'd probably do is start crying. But after I was done that, I would realize that, look, we have to do it. Strasburg, I feel like you almost have to concede. If he's going to opt out and he's not going to accept anything you offer him, and because he knows he's going to get more from somewhere else from a team that needs starting pitching more, you kind of almost have to concede him. Because we talked about this so much on the show, so I don't want to talk about it a lot anymore. But you can't let Anthony Rendon walk. You just can't.
Yeah.
You can't do it 2 years in a row.
Now,
like I said, we talked enough about that. But if I'm Rizzo,
I know
doing
this
everything
is
I can.
kind of early, but it just makes you think, who's going to throw that much money at Steven Strasburg?
I could probably name 5 teams that need starting pitching so badly they'd be. Think about it. If Strasburg is smart, he's going to opt out, and he's going to sit there and wait until Garrett Cole gets his boatload of money, because there's going to be 3 teams that lose the Garrett Cole sweepstakes who are all going to be clamoring for a starting pitcher, and there you go. Steven Strasburg is going to get his payday, and he's going to get way more money than he's absolutely worth. Same thing, by the way, is going to happen to Ryu. He's going to get way more money than he's actually worth if he waits for
I
the
think
right
I
time.
think Ryu will be the biggest case of it, because this was
Yeah.
the best year of his career, and he has a much more extensive injury history than the other two.
Well, Ryu was also really good last year. People just they don't
He was
give him
really
enough
good, but he
credit.
wasn't like this. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. He's never going to do this again in his career. If he does, I mean, I stand corrected, but I don't think he's ever going to come close.
By the way,
to this
James mentioned earlier the struggles for the Dodger MVP candidate Cody Bellinger. Man, just struck out again.
Yeah, first out of the night for the Nationals, and that brings up, I believe, Matt Beattie with Justin Turner on first base. But yeah, no, that's an interesting point that we were talking about with the starting pitchers. The market going into the beginning of the year looked like it was going to be pretty rich. Of course, Chris Sale was about to be a free agent as well. That's another hit, by the way. It looks like Matt Beattie poking a single into center field, so that's going to put 2 on with 1 out. But the market was so rich coming in, and a lot of the guys decided to get locked up and sign those big extensions. And you know what? But it's still a very good market for starting pitching. It's going to be cool because this is going to be a very starting pitching heavy market, unlike last year where it was pretty much Corbin and then everyone else. And it was just focused on the 2 superstars, of course, Machado and Harper. This year you got Rendon, and then you just got a lot of starting pitchers. I know
The
there's some other
Yankees
good
are
guys,
going to
but-
get a starting pitcher this
No, I think
offseason.
that's
I think the
absolutely
Phillies will
true.
too. I think you
But
guys will get some.
I don't think that the Yankees will get Cole or Strasburg. It'll be someone lower level in the dollar sense.
And you know what? And I think knowing Brian Cashman, I feel like I don't think they're gonna sign anyone. I think they make another trade, like a James Paxton type trade. But I also think a lot of it depends on how the Yankees finish this year. You know what I mean? If they lose again, whether it be in the World Series, NLCS, whatever it may be. If they do that, there's going to be a lot more pressure to be, look, we can't keep doing this again and again. We got to get the pieces we need in order to get on and finally finish this job. So I think that also has a lot of pressure added on top of it.
Well, the thing is, if you're the Dodgers and the Yankees, like if you don't win this year, at what point do you? Obviously, you don't blow it up.
No,
you don't blow it up. But at what point do you try to change something at some point, because that's repeated years of not getting it done?
I'm going to say that the Dodgers start to make change. I don't think the Yankees will, because the Dodgers have if they do make the World Series this year, that's 3 consecutive years making the World Series and you've lost.
Yeah, but wouldn't you rather get there and lose than not get there at all?
yeah, I'm saying that's 3 straight.
Like
pennants right there.
I think it's worse on the Yankees to if they don't make the World Series to not.
But the thing is, the Dodgers have a lot of players that are starting to get up there in age, but the Yankees still have so much young talent.
Well, the thing
I think LA
Yankees,
does
though,
too, because they
Yeah.
like
LA does too, yeah.
Will
That's-
Smith, Dustin May, Gavin
right.
Lux, Bellinger, Seager.
Right, but that's why I'm saying they also have a bunch of older guys that they could afford to get rid of.
Fair.
You mean the trade off, try and get some younger pieces?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not saying that they're going to trade Clayton Kershaw.
No.
I mean, because he's
Yeah.
older, but like,
I don't think anyone wants to
but
pay
like
him that.
maybe a guy like Justin Turner, for example, a guy who's
yeah, I
been
think
around
that's
for a
very
long
possible.
time. And
Yeah.
and like I said, they have Gavin Lux coming up. They have a ton of young talent, and they can afford to get rid of
And
some of these
especially
older guys.
knowing the Dodgers front office and how analytically driven they are, and in the past them being able to make moves like this that turn out profitable. Of course, we don't talk about Yordan Alvarez. That's one that was not exactly profitable.
Now, do you
But-
think that Russell Martin's going to retire this year?
That's a little bit of a random question.
Because he's their starting catcher.
Yeah, he is, but you know what?
It'll be Will Smith next year.
Yeah, I think with Will Smith's breakout kind of year that he had, I think they're perfectly fine with just letting him go and using Will Smith there. But no, yeah, we'll have to see with that. It's interesting to see, but I don't want to get into too much of the whole offseason picture thing because I firmly believe that the offseason direction for teams really has a lot to do with how the season ends, of course. I mean, remember 2008 after the in 2007 after 2007 when the Red Sox won the World Series, and I'm sure Robbie, you remember this when the Yankees went absolutely crazy.
Of course, I remember
they went
that.
crazy because and it's funny because if you look at all the years. What is going on here? Was that double play?
Yeah, it was a double play.
Inning over double play.
That's fantastic.
They went crazy after it was 08.
Yeah, but what I was going to
08.
say was if you look at the amount of money spent and trades made for the Yankees on years following a Red Sox World Series win, it's ridiculous.
No,
really
it was 08. It was 08.
It was 08. Yeah.
Right. No, we won in 07.
No, I'm saying it was in the 2008 offseason before that.
The Yankees spent all the money in the 2000.
You're saying after they
2009.
won? Yes.
The Yankees spent all that money before 2009, signing CeCe Spathia, AJ Burnett, and Mark Teixeira.
You were to that. I said 2007. I meant 2008. But yes.
I was
exactly. And because that was the year that you guys almost won the pennant, but then the Rays beat you in 7, right? Is that what it was?
Yes. The Rays beat the Red Sox
and the
in 7.
Yankees. I don't know if it's more so that it's the Red Sox winning after. I'm sorry, it's the year after the Red Sox win the World Series. I think it's just after that the Yankees either underperform or don't make the playoffs because in 08 they simply did not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
What did they do? They
It was
made
close.
those big
They
signings.
almost made it though. Well, didn't they?
Not really.
I think they were close to a wild card, wasn't it?
They had a wild card spot for a few games, but
they finished 5 games behind the Red Sox because there's only one wild card.
They weren't really that close. So
actually, weren't the Red Sox were the division that year?
No, Tampa won the
Tampa.
division. They missed the division by 2 games.
Yeah, that's right. Well, honestly though, and I honestly think that the 2008 Red Sox were just absolutely scary. I can't believe they didn't win the World Series that year. I mean, was that the year the Ortiz hit like 50, or was that 2006?
That was 06. But that 2008 Red Sox team, if they that's the one like what if because I
think so too,
that would. I'm not saying they would have beat the Phillies, but I think it would have been a really good series.
I'm
it
saying
would have
as
been
a Phillies fan, you would have beat the Phillies in 2008.
I would have given them the edge, but I'm not going out here and saying they would have beat them. But that would have been a damn good series.
Yes, it would have been a fantastic series. Imagine the offensive output in that.
Before we end, just another thing on the postseason. I think Bregman is going to have a signature postseason moment. I think he's going to go off. I meant to say that last show, but I didn't. He's built for the stage. He's born for it. He's a stud. He's had a great postseason so far, and I think he's going to have some epic moment this postseason that will put him in baseball history forever.
Oh, random news, but did you just hear about who just retired?
Do we have a baseball retirement going on?
Brian McCann just retired.
Did he really?
Oh, wow.
Right after the
Breaking
game.
Right
news.
after the game.
That
He
is
just announced his retirement.
Wow. 7-time All-Star, fantastic player for the Yankees, Braves, Astros. Oh my goodness, that is
Hall of Fame, yes or no?
No.
No.
Hall of very good.
That I agree with that.
Yes, because he was a very good offensive catcher.
But the thing with McCann is that I feel like at some point he might get in, like on a veterans committee or something.
Larry
you mean
Walker
like
type
that?
player.
You mean like that committee that lets the guys in like 10 years later after everyone forgot about them, like Baines and Smith and all them? You think, or is that what you're thinking? I mean, because if we're looking at that, that's going to be like 20, 30 years before Brian McCann's in the Hall of Fame. I don't think if Brian McCann's in the Hall of Fame, I want to question what the Hall of Fame is. But you know what? That's a topic for another day. No, but congratulations to a great career for Brian McCann. A little surprising that he's announcing it right away after losing.
I think he had his heart.
He
set on
probably had
retiring
his
for a while.
mind set up already, and it makes sense. I mean, he's getting up there in age. But you know what? He didn't have a bad season. I could have seen him sticking around. I think a couple teams would have signed him.
He was born in 1984, so that makes him, 35, 36
35,
years
and
old?
for a catcher, that's getting up there.
That's a good career.
Yeah, and something tells me he didn't want to go into the whole phase of being a backup catcher and everything, and
Probably not.
So that makes sense. So we will leave you with that. We're going to wrap up here on tonight's edition of Nation Pastime in the Nation's Capital. 2-0 still. Dodgers up in the second inning. Walker Buehler's looking great. Strasburg did get that nice double play to end the inning, but looking a little shaky after the double and the home run. So we'll see how that plays out. Next week when we come back, we'll be right in the middle of the ALCS matchups and the NLCS matchups, so we will definitely be talking about that. We will, once again, also be sure to watch out tomorrow night for another fantastic Game 5. 3 Game 5s in a week. We're getting a little spoiled here with some great baseball. So best of luck to the Rays and Astros. We will see who will be facing the Yankees and Cardinals in the playoffs by next week. Just a reminder, we'll be live again 8 to 9 next Wednesday. Our show from tonight and all of our shows are subsequently posted on our Twitter for listening again. That is at NatPastime.
Oh, what a catch.
What was that?
Did you see that?
Who was that? Kike Hernandez with a fantastic catch out in right field, it looks like.
What a play by
Wow.
Kike Hernandez, the left
Full
fielder.
extension. You got Walker Buehler
Getting
with
caps
his hand
tipped
out.
to him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic play by Kike Hernandez out there. Very nice play. Yeah, so that's gonna rob. I think that was Juan Soto of definitely extra
It was
bases.
Juan Soto, yeah.
Looking at the replay now. Yes. Great catch on the warning track. But yeah, like I was saying, you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter for all the updates there. Our show will be posted the next day. It'll be up tomorrow. And other than that, have a great rest of your night. Go enjoy some postseason baseball. We got two great Game 5s to watch. It's been Andrew Snaith here with my co-hosts Robbie Cruz and James Higgins. Have a fantastic night, baseball.
Thank
Enjoy
you,
the
guys.
week.
Peace out.